Can y'all see? Give me a thumbs up if y'all can see the test at home. Can y'all see it? Good. All right. So here we go. Which one's the only one that equals 100? 3 people on the last test missed that. Okay. A golf ball is selected at random from a golf bag. Golly, did I tell y'all golf bag? If the golf bag contains 7 type A, 9 type B, and 3 type C, find the probability that golf ball is not type A. Now, how many different ways can you do this? 2. And what are the different ways? One is to actually do the probability of not A, or what is the other? It starts with a C. O, M, P, complement. Do A and then subtract it from 1. So however you want to do it. How many balls are in the bag? 9, 3, and 7. What is that? 19? How many are type A? 7. So 7 out of 19 is type A. So how many is not type A? 7 from 19 is what? 12. Thank you. I finally heard somebody enunciate 12 from what if I start teaching? What if I started teaching like the way y'all taught? How would that go about? So somebody give me 12 out of 19. What is that? It says round to 3 decimal places. 12 out of 19. What? 0.632. And check answer. It's a miracle. Next. Determine the following statement is true or false. Probability is a measure of the likelihood of a random phenomenon or chance behavior. Measure. Yes, true. All right, there's your first regression. And all they want is they want the line. They want the equation of the line. So type those in. I cannot make it bigger. So what I'll do, let me pull up the handy dandy Excel spreadsheet. And that way, hold on a second. Let me pull up the spreadsheet. And make it bigger. That's the only way I can make it bigger. So, and I don't know why it doesn't have a tab for me to, make it happen. Hold on. And I got to make this small. Well, I don't know if I'll be able to or not. Oh, the things I do for y'all. And people wonder why I teach at home. -5, -3, 4, 1, -1, -2, 0, 2, 3, and -4. Y'all please check, make sure I type those in correctly. I'm looking like a slant here, and the numbers are distorted. 11, -6, 8, -3, -2, 1, 5, -5, 6, and 7. That looks like, good gracious, not that funny, Mr. Martinez. All right. That looks like it pretty much is correct. All right. And punch that in the calculator. I'm just going to do it here. Insert. Right click. Add trend line. Display. And somebody please write that down because I'm not going to remember it. And when I go to the other screen, I'm going to need y'all to tell me which one it is.
The answer is B.
Thank you. How'd you know that? Yeah, but your test is not the same as mine.
That's all I understand.
Oh, okay. All right, so B. D, the delta. Thank you. Now that took only a few seconds. If you have a calculator, it would have took a whole lot less. Okay. What is it? No. Okay, next. If your overall grade one day, if you look at your overall grade one day and it has decreased from several days ago, a 0 has been placed in for a missing assignment. 3 people out of this class got this question wrong. It's the only one with the United States in front of it.
The only reason I got it right is I looked you up on Facebook and found you.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, I completely forgot.
I did the same thing.
I completely forgot.
And you know what would happen if I didn't give y'all all those handouts at the beginning of class? What would y'all do? Not just this class. What would all my classes do? You would bitch about me not what? Giving you handouts, wouldn't you? That's exactly what you would do. And you wouldn't have to go to Facebook. All you got to do is Google me. All right. In a certain lottery, on a whatever, a lottery, 37 and 6, $1 bet. So I'm just going to go to the handy dandy calculator. If I can get to it with this screen not being the right resolution. And I'm just going to make it big and pull up my, y'all bear with me. Like I say, this is aggravating on this screen system, so I'm sorry. People to leave me alone. I could teach a whole lot better and not have to deal with this junk. All right, so I'm going to take 1. Now this is the quickest way to do this. 1 divided by parentheses, and I'm going to type in 37. And does it say order or does it? I don't see order. Do y'all? Let me see if it's behind here. Anything about order? To win, all 6 numbers must match. I don't see anything about order. So 37 combination. So that's going to be math, probability, combination. How many 6? And then close parentheses. Now that's the quickest way to do it. They want it in scientific notation. And some of y'all are going to get this wrong because you're not going to listen to me right now. Okay? How do you type in the multiplication symbol? You know, 4.3 times. How do you type in the multiplication symbol? Shift 8. The star, Shift 8. If you use an X, guess what? It'll mark it wrong. And after I've told you today, I'm not going to give you points for it if you type in an X, because you're just not listening. Now it says round to the nearest what? 100th? 4.30 times 10 to the negative 7. 4.30, shift 8, 10, shift up, negative 7. Now that's how you type in the correct answer. What? That's what we just did. You got to type it in a certain way. If you don't hit the star, if you hit a multiplication symbol like an X, it will not take it.
How do you know when to use the combination and when to
Order.
order is combination?
Order is permutation. A lottery exists. I don't know why they're putting 2 lottery questions back to back, but like I say, in your test, it may not do this. A lottery exists where balls numbered 1 through 24 are placed into an urn. To win, you must match the 4 so that's 24, and correct what? Order. This one you do not put over 1 or put under 1 because it's not asking you. It's asking you how many possible what? Outcomes. Remember me telling you that a lot of people fail Math 120 because they don't what? They don't read the question. All right? So the last question, they said you bought a $1 ticket. This question does not say you bought a $1 ticket. It says what? How many what? How many outcomes? So if you come back to me tomorrow and say, Hubert, I did the right thing, but I put it over a ticket, I'm going to say, sorry, because we just went over it today. There it is right there. It says nothing about a ticket. All right, so this one would just be 24 permutation 4. So we go to our handy dandy calculator. 24 math probability permutation 4. And that is the different combinations. 255, 024. 255, 024. There's another one. This one's asking for R. So we're going to type these in the calculator because the calculator gives us R. We don't have to find it like we do in the Excel spreadsheet. So type them in because it'll take me twice as long to type them in, but I'm going to try to type them in if I can get this calculator to adjust. All right, so stat, edit, and -3. And it's going to do that every single time because I can't use the keyboard. So I've got to type in -3. That's why it takes so long. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let y'all do this one. So type those numbers in. And somebody give me the R value. Well, you got to, I might as well do it. Shit. I'm sorry, but it takes twice as long. -3, well, second or stat, edit, -3, -1, 6, 3, 1, 0, 2, 4, and I hope I hadn't missed any, 5, and -2. Okay, the next row, -16, -14. I don't know why you can't do this with the keyboard, with the computer keyboard. It's a whole lot faster. 3, -5, -8, -12, -7, -3. At least I know I'm the slowest person in the class because I have to do it like this. So everybody should be able to type it in before me. All right, so there's your first thing I'm gonna do. It says, is there a relationship? So we need to check and look and go to stat plot. Let's go to on and graph. It looks like there's a relationship, but I'm gonna hit zoom. Where is, should be 0. No, zoom 9. Yeah, there is a linear, you'll see the linear relationship. It almost looks like a straight line. So let's go to linear regression, go to stat, calculate, go down to linear regression, and calculate. And this is for those 2 people that's going to watch the video so they can see how to do it on the calculator. Rewind, rewind, rewind. And there it is. And since I don't have my display on, because it resets every time I turn the computer on, I don't have any idea. So somebody tell me which one is the answer. A relationship does exist. So it's either Bravo or Charlie.
Charlie.
Charlie, thank you. Because I did, C sounds like B when y'all say it. So next. Now I've went over 2 of those. I'm not going to go over another one because unless it asks something different, because it just takes up time in class. All right, does a linear relationship exist? Yes or no? Okay, so wherever it says data points have a relationship, it's either Charlie or Delta. I think it's Delta. And what kind of relationship is this? Negative, because it has a negative slope. Now, if you get that one wrong, I'm sorry. There's not much help. I mean, everybody reads from left to right. You put a car right here. What's the car going to do? It'll go downhill. That's a negative relationship. Unless you don't read from left to right. Can I ask, what is everybody doing? Because everybody should be watching this. What are y'all doing on your computers? Just ask.
I was doing top homework.
Let me ask you a question. If you were presenting something and I was doing something else, what is that? It's also rude. So for the 3 or 4 people in here that are typing away, thank you. I appreciate the respect and I appreciate that. Why am I doing this? For your benefit. But 3 or 4 of y'all ain't got the sense to realize that I'm doing this for you. Let me guess, you already know the material, right? You know, that could easily change. Unit 3 could be a nightmare. Next. If you miss a question and you believe it is correct, ask Hubert to see you after class. All right, somebody punch those in, please, and do a stat graph and tell me which one it is. Please. I'm just not going to try to type it. If I was at home, I could do it a whole lot faster, but I'm not looking at a 30-degree angle using a mouse to type in a calculator. That's just ridiculous. I guess I'll just have to make Unit 3 a little bit more difficult. Make it just about impassable. How about that? Y'all up for a challenge?
No,
Huh?
no. C.
Okay, give me 2 C's. Anybody verify C? I don't want to type in C and get it wrong. Then you'll say, I don't know what I'm doing, even though I'm not doing the problem. Anybody else get C? Or one that looks like C? Okay. I usually ask for 2 people to confirm anything I do in any class. I don't know why it's giving you all these questions. It's not supposed to do that unless it's just lucky, because it pulls for different questions. I'm not doing that one unless somebody wants, it's just asking for R. If somebody wants to type them in right quick and get R, we can keep going. I'm gonna give you a minute. Type it in and give me R. Just spit it out, or just tell me out. Excuse me. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. Which one is it? Anybody get Alpha?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is the one that asked you for the, go ahead and type, I'm gonna do this one on the spreadsheet because I can. It's gonna ask you for a chart plot. It's gonna ask you for the relationship and the equation right here. And so I'm gonna do that on the, you can do it on the calculator, but I'm gonna make the numbers bigger for you, so you don't have to strain your eyes. And here we go. There you go. Insert. And I'll make this bigger for you. Why it does that. And there is our line. And I need y'all to write it down so y'all can tell me which one it is. We got to find R just in case. So somebody take the 0.5 power of 0.9091. Somebody write down that, please. So we got 2 that are wide apart, 2 that are closer apart, and 2 that are real close. So we need a graph. It's got wide, not as wide, and close. So a slope that's negative, and a correlation that's negative also, negative slope. So let's go over to the handy dandy question. 7763, negative. Appears to be a linear negative. Looks like B. It can't be A or D. Why? Because A and D are positive. And somebody give me the round decimal places. 3 point negative what? Point what? 0.776? 776. And what is the, oh, I can't see. What is the slope, I meant the y-intercept? 6 point what? Is it negative or positive? Looks like it's positive, okay. And where it's not B, that's positive, it's not C, please don't put B or C, because B or C just tells me that you have no idea what you're doing. Okay, so it's either alpha or delta, and that's not a best fit because it's not in the middle of the points. So delta is your only answer. Capiche? What is a variable that is related to either the response variable, meaning the dependent variable, I meant the independent variable, or the dependent variable, but which is excluded from analysis? Just think of in the shadows. What's in the shadows? Lurking variable. You remember me giving you the example of Rocky Mountain spotted fever versus drownings? Remember that? What is the lurking variable between Rocky Mountain spotted fever deaths and drownings? Warm what? Warm weather. Warm weather is a lurking variable. That's something that has to do with both. Why does Hubert ignore requests for extra points at the end of the semester? One of y'all will send me an email that says, and this is after the week that you can go back and make up any test or any homework, because I always do that. I don't know who's had me before. I always do that. And you'll ask me, you'll say, I got 89.4. Well, you got a B. Because I just gave you a week to go back and improve your grade. And you didn't do it. So I usually do that like a week before the finals. So be on the lookout. I don't announce it. And one of you will actually send me an email and say that you're confused. I'm confused because all of the test dates are open and all of the homework is open. What are you supposed to do if a teacher gives you something like that? Are you supposed to send them an email or are you supposed to run with it? You run with it. You do whatever you can to what? Improve your grade. He leaves me with points like these, and he drops the lowest 2 on each unit test. And I dropped the lowest on the final. You got 2 attempts. I dropped the lowest. A golf ball is selected at random from a golf bag. Now these are different now. They're not the same. 7 orange balls, 3 black balls, and 14 yellow balls. Find the probability of the following event. The golf ball is orange. What's that word? Or. What does or mean? I asked that yesterday and the student said, multiplication. Nope. Addition. So you're going to add the probability of orange and the probability of black. Will somebody please do that for me? And give me 3 decimal places. Orange is what? 7 out of what? 24? 7 out of 24 plus 3 out of 24. I'm sorry, what? 0.417. Or addition. Boy, that took about what? 45 seconds? If you take several forms of a unit test in Hubert's class, how is it counted? He takes the highest and drops the lowest. In probability, a blank is any process that can be repeated in which the results are what? Uncertain. What in mathematics and science is the outcome uncertain? Not outcome. Not unusual event. Experiment. That's the answer. When something is uncertain, that is an experiment because you don't know the outcome. And 2 or 3 of y'all missed this question too. 2 or 3 out of each class miss some of the bonus questions. I haven't figured it out yet, unless it's just nonsensical. It's the only thing I can think of. Some of y'all don't even know what sentient means. I'm not going to do that one unless y'all want to. I'm going to let y'all do it. Compute R. At least you can get practice on your calculator, which some of y'all do need because you suck at it. Somebody give me Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, or Delta.
Charlie.
Y'all are winners. Next. What is the probability of an event that is impossible? Now, I do not like this question, but I like the second part of the question. I like the suppose that probability. Okay? I'm going to reword it the way it needs to sound. What is the probability of an event that is very unlikely? Suppose that a probability is approximated to be 0 with empirical results. Does this mean that the event is impossible? Okay, no, it means it's very unlikely. So what is the probability of an event that is very unlikely? 0. Does this mean, does a 0 mean that the event is impossible? No. You ever heard of somebody that uses birth control getting pregnant? And I know that's kind of a loose, a loose example, but what I'm trying to say is, have you ever heard of something happening? How about somebody, listen to this. How about somebody that's had, what's it called for a woman and what's it called for men? They have the reproduction things taken out. How many of you have ever heard of somebody getting pregnant? It can happen. Things can happen. So I don't want you to you never use the word impossible, exact, or perfect in probability of statistics. You never use those words. Okay?
You put yes as the answer, though.
I'm sorry, what? Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. You're the one paying attention. Thank you. Usually nobody even pays attention, so thank you. The probability of an event of an empirical experiment may change from experiment to experiment. True or false? True. Rolling a die. Now, if they say the same event, it says an event. It doesn't say the same event, does it? Is the probability of 6 on a die always going to be 1/6? Yes, that's the same event. Now it says the probability of an event may change from experiment to experiment. That's experiment is an observation, is actually doing it. So yes, it may change. I looked up and got a bunch of these sentence word problems. The word "and" in probability implies that we use the, I'm sorry, what? Multiplication. Okay, if you toss a fair coin 12 times, what is the probability of getting all heads? Well, that'd be 1/2 to the 12th power. Somebody do 1/2 to the 12th power. It's either 2048 or 4096 because I can't remember what 2 to the 12th power is. Okay, thank you. That's the multiplication. What is the probability of heads and what? Heads. And heads. And multiplication. 12 times. heads and heads, and heads and heads, and heads and heads. Everything you got there is and. I'll try to hurry up before y'all start convulsing. Which one? Now there's one that sticks out, and everybody should get it right. Which one is not a probability model? D, because it has a negative, but there's one other one. Oh, this one's even easier to see. E, because it should equal what? 7/7. This one equals what? 4/7. So it should be A, B, C, and F. Huh? Yeah, but you add them together, what do you get? 1. Remember, the test is, it's got to be between 0 and 1 for each probability, and all of them together have to equal what? 1. That's the two tests. So A, B, C, and E, A, B, C, and F. A, B, C, and F. That's your answer. Next. All right, here is probably addition. I don't know. Look at there. Or a what? A man or a non-drinker. So I'm going to take my handy dandy whiteboard. I'm going to ask that y'all do the calculations if you don't mind. And I'm going to take my line maker. And we're going to use green for a man. That's supposed to be a highlighter. I'm going to just underline it. Where is my highlighter? I guess I'll have to use a crooked line. All right, man is right here. And a non-drinker, I'll use yellow. A non-drinker is yellow, so a non-drinker would be right there. So that's going to be, you could actually use the totals since they give you the totals. You can say 202 plus 322, but you got to minus what? 135. You got to minus the overlap. So 202 plus 322 minus 135 divided by 424. And somebody give me Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, or Delta. Okay, let me do it again. 202 plus 322 minus 135 divided by 424. What?
B.
Bravo? You're a winner. You're going to have a nice office one day. All right. What should a student do if they're gone for a week or two out of class and like for a funeral or a high school event or a wreck? You should wait until after grade turn in and act like you didn't know. That's what you should do. And bring helicopter dad and bulldozer mom. How about communication? I got one question. Anybody got a job? Where do you work? Where do you work? Mm-hmm. No, you work at Bobby's place, right? What if you don't show up for a week? What happens? What would happen? Well, you're excluded. Your dad owns the place. Huh? Oh, he sold it? Well, what would happen now if you decided to go to Aruba for a week and you didn't tell anybody? Yeah, you probably would. But you can go to you have to go on vacation, and you didn't tell me, you missed a test, and you got a 0 for it, you didn't have sense enough to see it in the grade book, and you wait till after a week, after a grade turn in, and you come, and helicopter mom and bulldozer dad says, why can't you retake the test? Well, I gave her a week to take any test she wanted to at the end of the semester. Well, that really gets it. This girl did not even have the sense to know that she had a week to redo any of the tests or homework. Okay, this girl was dumb as a post, all right? She was, because one, she didn't know that she needed to contact somebody, which is BS. And two, she didn't even know that the homework and the tests were open for a whole week. You know what mom and dad said when I said that? Oh. Not, I'm sorry to waste your time, not, I'm sorry this whole thing, but oh. That's all they said. Yeah, one said, yeah, your daughter's a liar, or your daughter is not very sentient. Anyway, sorry. Does Hubert replace your lowest test grade with your final exam grade? This guy, the guy had a dead head, actually sat right there where Miss Gray usually sits, okay, in this same classroom. He came to me, this is no joke, after 4 unit tests, he came to me and said, I thought you'd place the lowest grade with the final exam. After 4 of these questions. And these people procreate and have driver's licenses. A survey of 500 randomly selected students determined that 456 play organized sports. Okay, give me that probability. And round to the nearest 1,000, 3 digits. Just give me point what? 0.912. So of 1,000 people in a high school, that's going to be about 912. Why did I pick A? Good job. Because you never use exactly, because that'll get you fired. Because what if you say exactly in a boardroom meeting, and then the next year rolls around at that boardroom meeting, and you said exactly, and it equaled $21 million, and it should have been $25 million. You're fired. Don't use the word exactly. Next. And I'm not going to do that. If you want to do it, you can. I'm going to go ahead and get to the last few questions. We already had like 3 or 4 of these. I'm going to move on just to see if there's anything else. Which one should you choose? Overall grade. That's another one. I think we covered that. If the linear correlation between 2 variables is negative, what can be said about the slope? If a student does not complete, he gets a 0. If you have incomplete assignments, you get decreases. And I'm sorry I have to put those. I have to, because of those 2 or 3 students that we talked about that bring helicopter mom and bulldozer dad. Will the following variables have positive correlation, negative correlation, or no correlation? See, this is your common sense subjectivity type question. Remember, causality does not mean, it means correlation, but correlation does not mean causality. So you have to use a little bit of common sense here. Outside temperature and day of the week. That's no correlation. That has nothing to do with each other. Interest rates on car loans and number of cars sold. If the interest rate goes up, number of cars go what? Down. So that would be a negative correlation. And the last one is positive. Now, why isn't there a mathematical because causality is not mathematical. Causality is common sense. And when does homework terminate? Toward the end. And the last question, although covered, is cell phone. Now, let me ask y'all a question. Was there anything on this test that I said was not going to be on there, or is it fair? I told you there would not be any of the, what do you call it, residuals, was there? No. Everything on here I covered. All right. I'm just going to say everybody was here today. I don't feel like calling the roll. See y'all. Get the test done. Start a new unit Friday.